Oh, welcome to Drinks with Ron. I'm Ron, and you notice something unusual. I don't have a drink. Having beer fridge issues, it went down on me. So I got nothing cold. I got three in there getting cold, but nothing right now. So while I wait, I thought I'd practice my Jedi powers and focus on those beers. And maybe they'll get colder because I'm a Jedi. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I believe it's true now. This morning, I got my final piece of evidence, so I'm going to go ahead and lay this out for you. Okay, I'm laying in bed, waiting to get up. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, and my kid and I tentatively have some scheduled time to go listen to some old records. But what do we listen to? We were flipping through the other night. She rattled off a few that piqued her interest when I went by. One of them was Miles Davis. So I was laying there thinking about, maybe we'll play that Miles Davis in concert album. Check that out. And then, of course, my mind, the first thing I jump to is it Billy Madison? Where first thing I think is, well, if peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. You know, pretty obscure reference, but that's what I thought. Then I thought, shit, okay, screw this, I gotta get out of bed. Let me check my weather app. So the other day I installed a snarky weather app that says goofy things. So when I kicked it up this morning, and there's a little load screen that comes up before your weather, and it says something, like I said, snarky. And this morning, when I opened it up, not 30 seconds after that, it said, if peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. And I went, that's it, I'm a Jedi. It's official. Now, would I base it on just that? That seems a little loose. Seems a little careless. I don't think I would do something like that. But I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, I was working at a different job, one where I had a lot of time standing around, and I, if you can imagine, I think about odd things. And one day, while I was there, I thought of, you ever seen the movie Judgment Night? Not a very good movie, but the soundtrack was badass. Metal and rap groups stuck together, which for me at the time was like the coolest thing ever. Had Dennis Leary in it, which was checked another box. Everlast was actually from House of Pain, was I believe his acting debut. Jeremy Piven, who I was a fan of, most people didn't know in like 93, 94. I think this even predates PCU. So yeah, this movie was like tailor-made for me. But there's a scene in it where Piven actually gets killed. And for some reason I started thinking of that scene. Because, you know, he's playing his usual smooth character. He's going to talk his way out of a thing. Instead he ends up dead. So I'm wandering around and started thinking about some more odd things. And half hour or so later, one of the things that popped into my head was, Jesus Christ. That Nirvana Nevermind album is so old. That baby on there's got to be a full-fledged fucking adult by now. I wonder what that kid's up to. So I go to break, and I shit you not, one of my friends, who is all the way across the country, on the left coast, makes a full-on post referencing the scene where Jeremy Piven gets killed in Judgment Night. So I'm like, all right, that's a little spooky. But I scrolled down because it's a 15-minute break, and one of my other buddies, also across the country on the left coast, posted a picture of the kid from the Nirvana album cover, present day. Gave his name and his age and the whole deal and said, now don't you feel old? And I was like, man, how could... You know, I swear. So I was like, that's it. Maybe I'm a Jedi. But there was one that kind of set this whole thing off. It was before that. Buddy of mine, Burley, friend of the show, he's been on multiple times, came down, and we went out to eat at a local bar, and we took a booth seat. And we were sitting there, we got our beers, and as we're sitting there, a couple walked out, and they were crossing the street. And the guy's kind of, you know, just walking, hands by his side, and I'm just looking at him, and we're thinking, dude, you got to grab that. Like, hey, this... I don't know how long you guys been together. I don't know what the deal is. But you're leaving the dinner. You go for that now. And I just kind of, you know, Jedi-minded him. And next thing you know, it came over the hand. And I turned and I looked at my buddy. And we just looked at the same time and made eye contact. I told him to do that. Me too. dude, we're fucking Jedis. I mean, and now that I think there's been enough. I mean, granted, this is kind of a loose theory, but I think there's now enough evidence that I can run with this. I said the Miles Davis thing this morning, and the short gap of the time, that was the one that clinched it. So yeah, I just got to come up with a kick-ass Jedi name. Maybe after a couple of my beers, fire off another episode and do that. But sounds like Ted Jansen's not having too great of a time out there on his leash. So I'll cut her short and go tend to my dog friend. So for Drinks with Ron, I'm Ron, signing off.